There you are.
All right. Well, good morning, everybody. This is May 20th, 2020. Jonathan Millay here, City of Worcester Economic Development Office, and we are here to present to you our CDBG Grant Program Opportunities Public Hearing number 1. This is the first hearing of 2 hearings that we will have on the city's Community Development Block Grant Program that we work with in partnership with the Ohio Development Services Agency, which is in partnership with HUD, the federal agency. We are live streaming today live on Facebook and also YouTube, as we are unable to have large public gatherings in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. So for everybody's safety, we are meeting live online. However, we are monitoring comments. So as of right now, I see we have nobody watching, but should you be watching this later and you have a question about community development block grants, you are most welcome to reach out to us anytime. We're happy to answer any questions and help provide information on this important program for our community. But in any event, at any time, if there are comments during the session, you are welcome to leave them on either your Facebook or YouTube account, and we'll be monitoring them and answering questions as they come in. So to get started, we want to talk a little bit about what is our Community Development Block Grant Program. CDBG, because it's government, we have to put everything into acronyms because it's just quicker that way, is a federally funded program. Worcester is eligible for an allocation of $150,000 in 2020. And that funding is to go to help perform public projects and services that support primarily low to moderate income residents. And these projects historically have included things like extending medical services, being able to repave roads in older neighborhoods, downtown improvements, updating parks, repairing sidewalks. And out of that $150,000, which is made available for a period of 2 years, it's not a lot of funding, but it's still important and it's helpful. About $10,000 of that may be used to help support administrative costs. The City of Worcester provides all of its administrative costs in kind. So 100% of the allocation funds go to back into infrastructure or services for our residents. What is low to moderate income? Well, in 2020, before our COVID-19 pandemic, we can see here at the bottom of the screen, I think I'm pointing this way over here, you can see the income ranges for families depending upon their family size. So for a family of 1, low to moderate income would be a salary of $39,400 annually. And again, we do expect these numbers to change, unfortunately, a bit dramatically going into 2021. However, for an individual who makes less than $39,400, they are considered low to moderate income, and that does make them eligible for certain federal programs and assistance. A lot of the programs that are out there, however, are generally looking at the very low income bracket. So for an individual, that would be making $24,650 or less. Or for a family of 4, $35,150. So this is an interesting chart. It's made specifically for Wayne County. Every county in the United States gets a chart like this, and it's updated annually. And that comes from the Housing and Urban Development Department of the federal government. Wayne County's median income for this past year was $70,300, which is very close to what the state of Ohio averages. About community development block grant, low to moderate income areas. A lot of times when it comes to where infrastructure projects can occur, since they have to benefit primarily low to moderate income individuals, the City of Worcester is restricted to spending these funds in certain areas if we're looking at projects like parking lots, sidewalks, and so forth. So what you see on the screen now is our low to moderate income area map. This is provided to us through the Ohio Development Services Agency. It's not a perfect map. As you can see, looking through here, some of the data is incomplete. We do have areas that are struggling that are not depicted as struggling, and in some cases vice versa. However, this is the best available data that's out there, and we work very hard to make sure that we are dedicating these resources to where they're intended in the spirit of the program. And so you will see a lot of our projects in the past have focused on our downtown areas. Just for general information, we have 23,600 people in the city for whom income is determined. Our total population is about another 4,000 individuals on top of that. But for the income purposes, which would be people who are permanently living here, who would not be considered group quarters, which would exclude like on-campus students, the average income brings us to a figure of about 45% low to moderate income. And that's relatively high for an Ohio community. There are communities that are certainly higher, but for the most part, this is when we're looking at the data, the geographic data is pointing us to areas where we have locations where folks need the most resources, financially speaking. When it comes to the Community Development Block Grant Program, there are actually several programs within a program. So we have, what we're talking about today is the allocation program, and that is basically a portion of funds that the federal government sets aside to the state, which they set aside to cities for qualified projects. And for the city of Worcester, for this coming 2-year program, it's $150,000. The last one we had, which was for a single year, was $79,000 in 2016. And then the following 2018, we received $150,000, and now we're in 2020. There are also competitive grants, which are generally up to $300,000 that can be made available. These grants support critical infrastructure, things like water lines that might be on the verge of breaking, or bridges that could be at risk of collapse. Additionally, there are also economic development grants, neighborhood revitalization, and downtown revitalization. Some of these grants can be directed to private businesses and nonprofits, especially if there's job creation involved, or if there is a public service that's being provided. There is a very limited amount of funds that the government does make available for us to provide to public services. And in the city of Worcester, we've historically provided that to medical care. There's also what's called a residential public infrastructure grant, which is a separate program for generally water line construction. The city of Worcester right now, it's already eligible for an allocation grant. Competitive grants require their own application. At the moment, we continually are evaluating opportunities to go after these funds. As a city, we don't want to leave any taxpayer funds on the table, so to speak. Worcester residents and workers pay a considerable amount of their taxes to the federal government. So as much of that as we can recapture and bring back to our community, to our state, we figure the better. Nothing against New Jersey, but we don't really want them taking Ohio tax dollars. So without further ado, just some examples of our most recent grant, $150,000 allocation project. We dedicated $22,500 of that to the Viola Starts When Free Clinic. It's an amazing organization, nonprofit, just across from our hospital in Worcester's Central District. They provide free medical care to those who are uninsured or underinsured. And they also accept today walk-ins who are insured. But at the same time, there is a need for funding to extend those medical services. So we provide, out of the grant that the state provides the city, we have historically provided this amount to Viola Starts Swing Free Clinic. And again, these are with the permission of Worcester City Council that the city does this. So any applications that we do go to City Council for their approval and their review. And if approved, we move forward. The maximum that we're allowed to give historically for services is 15% of the total grant, which is how we arrive at that $22,000 figure for Viola Startsman. There's some news on that, and that will change this year, which we'll talk a little bit later in our program. Where did the other funding go toward? Well, the city of Worcester, as they have been expanding their downtown in order to help generate new housing opportunities and to generate new job opportunities and help improve the downtown to help strengthen the surrounding neighborhoods, the city has undertaken a project to develop the South Street parking lot project. This is in connection with a planned future development, mixed use, that will front East Liberty Street. However, before that project can move forward, public infrastructure is needed to support that project. And so we're working to utilize these funds to construct a public parking lot. Already, it's involved the acquisition of the parking lot space, which is at discount, and resulted in the demolition of 2 structures. And in the process right now, we are working to get the parking lot actually established. And lastly, our program, it's a program that we provide in kind, which means that we're not using grant dollars to do it. But we do provide fair housing services, and this is in conjunction with a lot of the work that we typically do at the city that helps to provide referral services to individuals who might be having a problem with property maintenance, might be having issues with landlords, or might be encountering illegal discrimination when it comes to fair housing choice. We'll talk a little bit more about that as well. Some of our other larger projects, which we generally, when these opportunities come up, they can come up any time of year. They are things that we keep in mind when we go after. We have downtown infrastructure grants that are made available through, again, our partners at the Ohio Development Services Agency, and a critical infrastructure. And here are 2 examples on the screen that you can see that we've worked with before. The first one being our downtown project that involved 149 North Walnut Street. This was a structure that was in very sore need of repair, and there was a developer who was interested in refurbishing that space. It contained 3 apartments and 2 retail areas. CDBG helped to fill a critical funding gap to make that happen. And this building was saved from what was very apparently going to be a demolition at some point. In fact, a portion of the building was demolished as part of the project, but it's been renewed, and it's a very nice structure now on our North Street corridor. Speaking of our North Street corridor and also Liberty Street, we've also used CDBG funds to secure $600,000 to install new traffic and pedestrian signaling systems in downtown. It's a little bit surprising to me, but when you really think about all the infrastructure, it starts to make sense. But replacing the signals and poles at one intersection easily costs around $75,000. It's actually a lot of equipment and metal and underground computers that power all of that infrastructure. And it's a very expensive undertaking. And it's very costly when a lot of these have to be replaced. And we've had a lot of traffic signals in our downtown area that had no pedestrian signalization. At a time when we're being recognized for being one of the best hometowns in the state of Ohio and having a lot of visitor traffic and a resurgence of activity in our downtown, it was imperative that we addressed our failing poles that were out there and installed pedestrian signals. And so CDBG helped us to accomplish that with again, a $600,000 investment over the last few years. We replaced 9 signals, and that's closer to 18 actual poles that you would see there. We've brought safer pedestrian crosswalks to downtown with this, and that's made downtown more accessible for everybody, for visitors and residents alike, for people who are accessing downtown services and businesses and government offices and resources. This has been a very important project for us. The next one that we have after this is our Community Housing Impact and Preservation Program, or CHIP. You might have heard it referred to as that. And I hope that maybe you've seen some of our brochures floating around on this program. It is a program that the City of Worcester is responsible for running and managing. We've secured this grant in partnership with Wayne County and the City of Orrville and the City of Rittman. So all 4 of these governmental entities working together to develop what's called the Wayne, Worcester, Orrville CHIP Partnership Program. This is a program where we have been able to successfully secure $962,500 of federal dollars to bring them back to the City of Worcester and to Wayne County residents. Specifically, we have 4 programs. 2 of them, or I apologize, 3 of them are still accepting applications. We have a home ownership program where if you are low to moderate income and you are seeking an opportunity to secure new housing, but you do require having a down payment, this is a grant program that can be made available to help assist an individual with that down payment. It's a partially forgivable mortgage that they get. 85% of it's forgiven after a period of years. The other 15% is only due once the owner would sell the property, whether that be 5 or 10 or 30 or 50 years down the road. That 15% goes back into a pool of funds to help out somebody else who's in a similar situation. We have a program called the Private Owner Rehabilitation Program. I note on the screen right now, it does say that it's full, but actually we do have room for a couple more applications for that. That particular program is a program where we can assist individuals with a whole home rehabilitation. So again, correction on the slide, that program is available. Lastly, we have what's called the Home Repair Program. This is a program that's available for individuals who might be struggling with an emergency repair that they cannot fund. These have included emergency roof repairs, so we may have a family that has a home with a roof that is leaking severely, and that's causing damage into the interior of the home. So CHIP is a grant program in this case, where we can come out, assist the homeowner with evaluating what needs to be done, and then pay to have a contractor come out and fix that for them. We've also utilized that program to assist individuals who've had water line breaks. Of course, city services, we repair any water line breaks that occur within the public rights of way, but between the road and the house is the homeowner's responsibility. And so when that happens and the homeowner doesn't have funding to fix that, we do have CHIP that can be available as an emergency resource to help the homeowner pay for that. So it's a very useful program. If you or anyone you are aware of who might be struggling with a home repair issue has a concern, keep this program in mind. This is a program, again, that we have been able to secure for the last 25 years, and thanks to the Wayne Metropolitan Housing Authority. They are our consultant with this program, and they help manage the day-to-day affairs. Our CHIP administrator, Tanya Sargent, does an amazing job at being able to help bring projects together, maximize resources, and help residents in need. And this is available to anyone who's in Wayne County. So please make sure that you share that news. And again, everywhere in Wayne County, these resources are available today. The next item that I wanted to share, just to talk about this a little bit more, here's an example of what CHIP is able to do for homes. You see a rehabilitation of a home up on top of the project, and then down below you see a completed picture. The funding is allocated among different communities, but in reality, we actually share and pool resources. So again, it's a program that's dedicated to any resident in need throughout Wayne County who needs help if they're low to moderate income and cannot afford to make those repairs on their own. The next step I wanted to talk about is our fair housing services. So in the city of Worcester, CHIP and fair housing, by virtue of us having CHIP and fair housing in CDBG, we are required to provide certain outreach with regard to fair housing. This is work that we've really always done anyway, and are here to help with regardless. But one of the programs that CDBG likes us to do is to put it in a specific format. So that's what you see here. We actually conduct 4 to 5 to 6 classes per year. We do outreach for individuals who are curious about their fair housing rights, or for landlords who are interested in how they protect themselves and how they ensure that they are staying compliant with fair housing rules. And you can see some information online about our program at worceroh.com/fair-housing. This is a program, again, that where if you do ever have a question, we are available by phone, and you can contact us at 330-263-5200, extension 300. We typically receive up to 50 inquiries per year, ranging anywhere from questions about from landlords on how do I dispose of unwanted property, to an individual who may have a concern about how they approach a landlord about renting a unit when they have an emotional support animal, to, unfortunately, we do have complaints where there are cases of discrimination. And unfortunately, in Worcester in 2020, it is still a concern, and we are available to help speak with people who need help making a complaint. As far as CDBG, for concluding our presentation, our next path forward here is moving forward with a second public hearing, which would take place on June 1st, 2020. Ideally, is our tentative time. We will be issuing a notice in the newspaper and online shortly to confirm that. We have an application deadline on June 19th, 2020. And in between then, we'll be going to Worcester City Council with the results of any public feedback that we have. We conduct a process of reviewing the environmental impact on projects that would occur shortly thereafter. And we find out sometime between September and December whether or not a grant is actually authorized. And that will allow us to start the grant service as soon as we're authorized. But there's a little bit of a 3-month period there where that may take a little bit of time to figure out. One new item here for 2020 is addressing COVID-19. What's unique about this year, as I said at the start of the program, is that 100% of our CDBG allocation grant may be spent to fund expansions of public services. This is a one-time waiver for the program, and it's intended to help address needs for at-risk populations during the COVID-19 pandemic. So city staff right now is currently exploring how we might be able to utilize this to help service providers in our community expand services for medical care, as we've always done, and also support homeless populations. So some critical needs that we've identified include supporting day center programming for our community's homeless population, which has been adversely affected further with the closure of area resources in the wake of the pandemic. Further, the demand for medical care has grown significantly since COVID-19, so there is an opportunity there to provide some relief to our partners who serve our residents through CDBG through this. So we'll be providing more information coming up here shortly, but June 1st is our target date. And so we would hope that we might have an opportunity to speak again. As of right now, we do not have any comments, and that's fine. but you are welcome to reach us at 330-263-5250 by phone if you would like to just share any thoughts or comments that we'll put down for the record on this. And we'll keep that opportunity open here through the June 1st timeframe. Similarly, you can also reach our office online by going to worcesterOH.com/development, and you're welcome to contact us. That being said, we thank you for your time. We do encourage you to please make sure keep safe, and when you're out and about, we just ask that we take precautions to protect each of ourselves and our friends and family. So when you are out and about and enjoying this finally warmer weather, we just ask that you please take some precautions and keep yourself safe and keep your family and community safe. And so thank you very much. We wish you the very best. Have a wonderful day. Just make sure it's on tight.